Welcome everyone. I have here the world's biggest collection of Bibles of all time. No, that's not true. But it is a lot of Bibles. I found them all lying around here at church. And we're going to be talking a lot about the Bible today. As we move into our new series, we're talking about Jesus and who he was in the Gospels. We're talking about how he was a man. We talk about the miracles he's going to do. And we're going to talk about how he is Messiah. So, before that though, we always got to do worship. So I need everyone to stand up on your feet so we can worship God together. Let's go.
We all want to have the perfect day where things all seem to go our way. Living in a dream, cause that's not reality. Some days feel like a sinking ship. Waves crashing don't even make sense. But I trust with faith you'll walk on water for me. Day after day after day, sure as the sun will shine. Your mercies I know every day. I can count on you to always be there and know that you will always be there every day. You'll always be there with me, with me. I can count on you to always be there and
It is traditions time, and today we have a brand new verse for our new series talking about Jesus Christ. So let's say it all together and start learning it. Here we go. So the Word became human and made his home among us. He was full of unfailing love and faithfulness, and we have seen his glory, the glory of the Father's one and only Son, John 1:14. All right, guys, so we've got 3 weeks to continue to practice this verse. I'd love for you to keep saying it over and over so that you can learn it. And now we're gonna get into our story for today. Oh my goodness, Caden, this is a huge collection of Bibles.
I know. I haven't seen this many in one spot
Wow. How many are there exactly?
before. A ton.
A ton?
Oof.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I gotta be careful with these.
Yeah, we don't want those to be knocked off.
They weigh a lot too.
Yeah.
Now, we are talking about the Bible and
Yes.
some of the special things about it, right? When we pick one up, it just looks like a really thick book, right?
It does.
We normally notice that it has very thin paper, right? If you actually look at it, it looks like
Lots and lots of words.
lots of words. They call this like onion skin paper. There's also a lot of numbers as well, which we
Yeah.
actually use so that we can find certain verses and chapters really easily. Right?
And there's a whole bunch of chapters in here, huh?
There's a ton.
Or those are actually not chapters.
Right, so those are actually books. So when you're flipping
Yes.
through it, you might see the letters at the top, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and it
Yep.
goes all the way through. Those are all actually separate books. So the Bible is not entirely an actual book, it's actually a collection of books, right?
How
And
many books are there?
66. It's split.
Ooh.
It's split down the middle for the Old Testament and New Testament, right?
Yeah.
So actually a lot of it is Old Testament. You can see that big section here, right? And the smaller section is all the New Testament. The New Testament was written more recently, only about 2,000 years ago, okay? So we actually have here,
Back here, right? All of these stacks, right? We've got 4 stacks, this much, right?
so in total we have 66 Bibles here, which is what's important about 66?
That's how many books are in one Bible.
Right? And then up here, I have 27 books, okay? Back here, I have 39.
Yes, 39.
You know why that's important? Because up here, 27, that's how many books are in the New Testament,
And 39.
in the Old Testament.
Yep,
Now, we're not gonna be talking about all of the Bible. That would take forever.
it would.
Though, hey, it does help to memorize where the books are in the Bible. There's even songs you can find online to help you memorize them. But we're gonna be focusing on
The New Testament.
the New Testament.
That's
So
right.
we're actually gonna be looking at the first 4 books in that New Testament. And they are called our Gospels. Oops.
Yep.
So we have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John.
Yeah.
Those are kind of weird names for a book. It
Sounds like people.
Yeah, do you know who wrote the book of Matthew?
Matthew?
Good guess.
Woohoo!
So Matthew was actually one of Jesus's disciples. He was also a tax collector, but Jesus saved him, and he is able to recount all the things that Jesus did because he traveled with Jesus, right?
Yeah.
So that's Matthew.
Then there's Mark.
Who wrote Mark? Give a guess.
John Mark.
No, but yes. Almost tricked me there. His real name was
I know.
John. His real name was John Mark.
Yes.
Now he wasn't a disciple, but he
No.
was in the area, and it was actually the first book written. Right? He actually wrote this for the Romans, so he didn't write it just for the Hebrews like Matthew did. He wrote it for other people, and he made it so they could understand all of Jesus's miracles.
Yeah, which is super cool because when people hear about the miracles that Jesus did, a lot of them came to faith and believed in Jesus.
Because if Jesus could do those miracles, it proved that he could be the Messiah.
Absolutely.
Third book,
Yes.
book of Luke.
Luke. And it was written by
Luke.
Luke.
He
That's right.
also wrote the book of Acts, which is not a gospel, but it comes after.
Yes,
Right?
yes, yes.
He was a doctor. He traveled around with the Apostle Paul. And would you believe it? Apostle Paul wrote all of these books here. So He wasn't a disciple. He ended up writing his book a little bit later, but he did write a lot about the miracles and things Jesus said. He wanted to prove to everyone that he really was a savior.
And last but definitely not least,
The book of John. Guess who wrote the book of John?
John.
No, Susan.
Ha ha! No, it wasn't. It was really John.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
He was also, like Matthew, a disciple, right? So he had a front row seat on all the things that Jesus did and was able to record them all in the book of John. I particularly love it because it's got a great mix of the other ones. You'll actually notice that when you're reading these, there seems to be a lot of similarities. There's a lot of things that they all have in common. And that's because they either borrowed stories from one another, and the stories are being passed around, and they're all written about at the same time, right?
Yeah.
But that's also more evidence that these books are true, because a lot of the stories are repeated
And match.
right?
Yeah.
They're accurate down to the details,
Yep.
including the most important miracle, which was Jesus rising from the dead. And that miracle is in every single gospel.
Which is pretty cool.
Pretty phenomenal.
Pretty cool, yeah. And one other little thing, our remember verse is in the book of John.
Oh, that's that one.
Yeah.
So we're talking about how he is a man, right?
Yep.
Or which means that he was like us, and he was born as a baby, right? He didn't come down fully made or as an adult.
Nope.
He had to grow up. Eventually, at one point, he was about 12 years old.
Yes, he was.
Maybe some of you are 12. But what do normal 12-year-olds do?
They like to play video games.
Video games. They probably eat pizza,
Yeah.
skateboard. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Not very well.
Maybe climb trees.
Yeah, a lot of trees.
Yeah.
So when he was 12, he actually got lost in a temple. We don't know many stories about Jesus when he was a boy, because most of the stories are when he grew up, right? Those are when it's really important. But when he was a child, he got left behind at a temple, and we'll be talking about that story during our story time.
Ooh, I can't wait. Why don't you grab a seat and we'll get ready for story time.
The Bible doesn't tell us much about what Jesus was like as a child. There's one story we read in Luke 2:41 through 52 that gives us a glimpse into what Jesus was like when he was 12 years old. He traveled with a big group of family and friends from his hometown to Jerusalem for the yearly feast of the Passover, a big festival to remember how God freed his people from Egypt. Once the big celebration had ended, Mary, Joseph, and all their traveling companions packed up their things and started on their long journey home. But they left behind one important thing. They forgot Jesus. His parents assumed he was with other family members or friends. When they realized he wasn't with them, they began to race around asking all the other travelers, "Have you seen our young boy?" But he was nowhere to be found. Realizing they must have left him behind, they rushed back as fast as they could to the city of Jerusalem to search for him. It took 3 days of searching before they finally found him in the temple with the teachers of the law. Jesus had been there the whole time discussing the Word of God with the teachers. He listened and asked many questions. The teachers were amazed by Jesus' answers and how much he knew about God. Mary and Joseph were so relieved to have found him. "Your father and I have been worried about you," Mary said. "Why did you have to look for me? Didn't you know I'd be in my Father's house?" Jesus replied. Mary and Joseph didn't understand what he meant. Jesus returned home to Nazareth with Mary and Joseph, and he grew up taller. He also grew in wisdom and in favor with God and people. We don't know much about when Jesus was a young boy, but this story helps us to remember that while Jesus was God's Son, divine and holy, he was also a person just like you and me. Philippians 2:6-7, in his very nature, he was God. Jesus was equal with God, but Jesus didn't take advantage of that fact. Instead, he made himself nothing. He did this by taking on the nature of a servant. He was made just like human beings. Jesus was fully God and fully man.
Is this tap water? All right, I think we should do the lesson for today.
Okay.
So we talked about how Jesus was a boy, right?
Yep.
And growing up into a man, talking about how he was definitely human like the rest of us, right? He wasn't some glowing angel, like
No.
floating through the sky.
He was just like you and me.
Right. But at the same time, we also know he was God. He
Yep.
says so in the Gospels. So we have to kind of understand, is he man or is he God?
I think he's both.
Well, why don't we do a bit of a demonstration?
All right.
So you take that yellow.
Okay, I'm gonna take the yellow.
I'm gonna take the blue. And
I'm gonna put it in here.
The yellow will represent God, right?
Okay.
And then blue will represent man. How many drops?
I don't know.
There we go. All right, mix it up nice and fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I got a nice blue dye here.
This is gonna be Jesus, right?
Well, yeah, we'll come to that. So
Okay.
we have them here,
Yep.
God and man. We got to figure out how much percentage was Jesus of each, right? Do you think that he was either 50-50, so maybe it was just like equal amounts of both? Or maybe was he more man than God? Maybe he was like 90% man, right?
And just this much.
He threw away most of his godness, right? Or maybe he still was mostly God, but just like disguised as a man. So maybe just 10%, a little bit of man. Does any of that sound right?
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
that's because we can't really understand it, right?
Right.
He's actually 100% both.
That's
okay?
right.
So that's actually why I had this little picture. If we pour them in together,
Here we go.
whoa, that's a cool color. Really dark green.
It's green.
Jesus was able to be both at the same time. There's not really a way we can fully understand that.
No.
You see, a lot of people actually get kind of thrown off because they try to they try to put Jesus in this little box and try to understand how this happened. The whole point of it is that it is a mystery.
That's right.
We'll never fully understand how he's able to do that, but at least we do know he was God, but he also walked among us. He walked around in the flesh and he had the glory of the Father.
And this is one of those times where we get to just apply our faith and understand that we don't fully understand.
A little scary, right?
A little bit, but at the same time, if we understood everything, then we would understand the same amount as God does, right?
Right, and that's blasphemy. We
Right.
will never know everything that God knows.
That's right.
So I think you're right. There is a little bit of faith you got to have there.
That's right.
And hey, the Gospels help us to understand it. Usually the more we pour into the Gospels, the more we'll get out of it. So keep reading those 4 books and we'll keep diving into them over the next few weeks, okay?
I can't wait to see what next week looks like.
Yeah, me either.
See you then.